For years, people wanted the Blazers to split up the Dame and CJ backcourt, and after 7 seasons, the front office finally pulled the trigger. CJ is now with the Pelicans, and Portland has a lot more cap flexibility to build a new team around Lillard. If this trade were made a few seasons ago, I would be on board with the Blazers trying to put a new supporting cast around Lillard. However, based on what's transpired this year with Dame missing a lot of time, I'm no longer in favor of that strategy. In his absence, Anthony Simons has looked like a future star, and some of their lesser-known players have also shown potential with the increased opportunity. By fully embracing a youth movement, Portland would be able to build a better supporting cast around Simons than they could ever hope to build around Lillard in the present. In today's video, I'm going to explain why Portland should look to trade Dame and what excites me about this team's young core.
Murray inside, incredible. LeBron James with no regard for human life. They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry!
In the NBA, it's really important for a franchise to realize when it's time to move on from a coach, player, or core group of guys. In Portland's case, they took far too long to move on from Terry Stotts, and they've only begun to break up their veteran core. For the Blazers, Dame is the last piece that has to go for them to reset their franchise, and they shouldn't wait much longer before they let him go. Lillard will be 32 by the start of next season, and he's set to make over $42 million that year. In his age 33 season, Lillard will be making $45 million, and the year after that he'll be making just under $49 million. That's a lot of money to be giving any player, especially one that suffered through injuries this season. Dame very well could come back next year looking like his old self, but there's also a chance that his injuries linger in his old age, which to me is too big of a risk to take for this organization. Portland also has to consider that Anthony Simons is set to become a restricted free agent this summer and will definitely receive big offers from other teams. Assuming the Blazers front office is sane, they'll match whatever contract offer Simons is given. However, this would put the Blazers back in the same situation they just got out of. The Dame and CJ backcourt peaked as a good playoff team because no matter how talented they were offensively, it's hard to win with two small guards that aren't defensive minded. Just as people were clamoring for the Blazers to split up the Dame and CJ backcourt, it would be in Portland's best interest to choose between either Lillard or Simons as well. If Portland were to keep both Lillard and Simons, they would be a playoff team, but I doubt they'd be able to put the right pieces around those two to elevate themselves to contender status. Portland has never stood out as an attractive destination for big-time free agents, and the Blazers don't have enough assets outside of Lillard or Simons to bolster their roster either. That being said, the only way this team can significantly shake up their roster is by trading one of their two guards. To me, Simons is the easy choice to keep in this situation. He's nearly 10 years younger than Dame, and it would be much easier for Portland to build a team around Simons through the draft, and with whatever pieces they got in a potential Dame trade. He'll also be making significantly less money than Dame even after he gets his extension this summer, which would provide the Blazers more flexibility going forward. Now, some people might say that Portland would look bad if they traded a player that's been so loyal to them, but I would disagree. Oftentimes, our perception of something is very black and white. In the NBA world, the term loyalty is frequently associated with star players that spent their entire careers with one franchise. Conversely, the term disloyalty is attributed to stars that end up playing on multiple teams. However, we have to consider that there are other factors that contribute to someone being loyal or not. A star player will want to stay with a franchise if A, he is getting paid what he feels he is worth, and or B, if the front office is able to surround them with quality players. On the other hand, a front office will remain loyal to a star player if they can 1, sell out arenas, and or 2, prove that they can lead the team to championships. Dame is now in his 10th year with the Blazers, and while a lot of good has been done during this stretch, both parties have not fully satisfied the needs of one another. Even though things haven't worked out perfectly, the redeeming factor is that both sides did try to make things work. Portland's front office made mistakes, but they did draft CJ McCollum, Gary Trent, and Anthony Simons. They traded for Yusuf Nurkic, and they did sign or trade for role players that they thought would fit well on their team. In Dame's case, he evolved into a superstar with this franchise, and neither he nor the front office gave up on one another, even when it could have been advantageous for both parties at times. At the end of the day, That is all you can ask for, and because of that, Portland's reputation should not take a hit if they traded Lillard. With all of that out of the way, let's talk about the young players on this team. When you think of Portland's young core, the most notable name that comes to mind is Anthony Simons, and for good reason. Since the new year, Simons has averaged 22.8 points and 5.9 assists on great efficiency. What's even more impressive is that Simons is shooting these percentages despite taking lots of attempts. For him to be doing this at just 22 years old is rare, and it speaks to how poised and skilled he is. What ultimately makes Simons so hard to defend is his quick release and change of pace ability. If you give him even an inch of space in the pick and roll, he'll rise up for a pull-up three. He's a great catch and shoot guy both in the half court and on the fast break, and whether you put a guard, wing, or big on him, he can hit a pull-up three in their face. Simons is also very effective in the mid-range because again, he rises up quickly and changes speed so fast. He's a nightmare to defend in the pick and roll because even if you're able to force him inside the arc, he's so good at stopping on a dime and making floaters. However, the most impressive aspect of his mid-range game is his ability to make contested shots in that area. To be a good shooter from anywhere on the floor, you need to have a soft touch, but to be an elite shooter, you have to be unfazed by your defender. Simons regularly hits pull-up jumpers or floaters with very little airspace, and it's almost as if he doesn't see a defender in front of him. On the season, Simons is hitting 50% of his shots from 3 to 10 feet and 51.2% of his attempts from 10 to 16 feet, which is absolutely elite. On top of the shooting, Simons is also a former dunk contest champion, which should give fans reason to believe that he can be a great 3-level scorer. His efficiency around the basket isn't great at the moment, and he doesn't draw a ton of fouls, but he has shown potential as a finisher. As I mentioned, he's a great leaper, but he has good body control as well. Simons doesn't throw up reckless shots around the rim, and I think once he gets stronger and starts to get even more respect around the league, he'll become better at drawing fouls and finishing at the basket. It's pretty clear that Simons can create for himself with the ball in his hands, but what separates him from a lot of star players is the way he plays without the ball. There are plenty of stars in this league, young and old, that look disinterested when they don't have the ball, but Anthony Simons is not one of those players. In the half court, Simons doesn't give up once he passes the ball. If he can't create a shot for himself initially, Simons will pass and relocate to get himself a better look. This makes him that much more difficult to guard because a defender can't afford to take a break on Simons just because he gives up the ball. It's this willingness to get himself open that allows the Blazers to utilize him in many different ways. In totality, Simons is a great athlete. He has a quick release coupled with a soft touch on his jumper, he's able to change speeds effectively, and he's a willing off-ball player as well. With all of this in mind, it's clear that Simons has the potential to become one of the best scorers in the league, but he's also a very good passer. His assist numbers won't necessarily wow you, but that's because he's focused on making the right pass above everything. When you watch Simons play, you can tell that he sees the floor very well, and as a result he gets a lot of hockey assists. Simons will regularly make the pass that leads to the assist, and while that won't show up in the box score, it helps the Blazers get better shots on offense, which is more important. Simons can make passes with both hands, and whether he's shoveling off a short drop-off pass, throwing a pocket pass to a roller, or throwing a cross-court pass to a shooter, he's accurate in doing so. As the Blazers continue to add more consistent pieces around him, you'll start to see those assist numbers go up over the years. So Anthony Simons is obviously the best player in their young core, but there are some intriguing young pieces besides him. After the Blazers traded away Norman Powell, Robert Covington, and CJ McCollum, there were more opportunities for some of their lesser-known players to show what they could do. Guys like CJ Ellaby, Greg Brown, and Trendon Watford have been getting more consistent minutes recently, and some of their new additions such as Josh Hart and Justice Winslow have been really impressive since they joined the team. While I don't see star potential for any of these guys, a few of these guys could end up being good role players on this team for the foreseeable future. Whether it's making strong cuts, sharing the ball and making the right pass, or making a strong defensive play, these guys have shown that they can make positive plays on the court. While the NBA is a star-driven league, stars need a strong supporting cast in order to win championships. If some of these guys can establish themselves as key rotation pieces for the Blazers, their value will be appreciated once Portland gets another young star to pair along Simons, either through the draft or from a Dame trade. In all honesty, things have not looked great in their last 3 games, But just prior to the All-Star break, this team went 4-1. At full health, Portland is much more competitive, but unfortunately with Nurkic now being out, people won't get to see that to the same degree. Without Nurkic, the Blazers are getting dominated on the boards, their communication is really poor on the back line of their defense, and they don't have any post presence on offense either. This isn't overly concerning to me, it just emphasizes how inexperienced their team is at the moment. These complementary guys have shown what they're capable of when they aren't being relied upon as much, but now with a key veteran like Nurkic being out, they're going through a learning process. At the end of the day, it might be a good thing if Portland keeps losing because that will give them a shot at a better pick in the lottery. As of now, the Blazers have a rising young star in Anthony Simons, a group of young role players with potential, and they'll likely have a good pick in the 2022 draft. On top of that, they could get even more assets by trading Lillard sooner rather than later. There are signs of a bright road ahead in Portland, and it's up to the organization to realize that the best interest of their franchise lies in the future and not in the present. Anyways, that's going to be all for today's video. Make sure to like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts down in the comments below. And with all that being said, I'm out, and I'll see you in the next video.